What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. This week was a good week. I got a new position at work, and that new position comes with a Monday through Friday schedule, and I'm like 7 to 3, so that is great. I haven't had that kind of schedule for 20 plus years now. Most importantly, it gives me opportunity to spend more time with my family, and then I have an opportunity to take care of myself, do a lot of things that I've been wanting to do. And third, rounding up the top three, of course, is I have more time to make videos like this and continue with my podcast. So I'm very excited. Now, to celebrate, we're going to continue with a series of videos that I started last year where I take a specific system and I do the best I can to try to find the top 10 selling games. And we talk about it. I play for a little bit and I tell you what I think. I usually give it a rating at a 2 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, something out of 10, something like that. Anyway, this week's video, we're going to do the Sega Genesis. That's right, the good old Sega Genesis. Now, growing up, I was a Nintendo kid, and I was an Atari and a Nintendo kid, but the Nintendo won out pretty quickly. I had a Sega, but it was later on in my adolescence, probably when I was in high school, I finally got a Sega, and I liked it. I played a lot of games on it. Now, as an adult, I have all the models. I have even the little mini models they put out. Got way more games, and I'm very excited about my Sega collection because, frankly, Sega collecting is kind of hard. There's Nintendo for days, but it's rare you'll see good Sega games out there in the wild. But I'm happy to say that I own every single one of these top 10 games because they wouldn't have been a top 10 game if they weren't bought by everybody, including me. So, enough yammering. Let's get on with the list. I hope you guys enjoy it. In number 10, we have Mortal Kombat 3, which sold over 1.02 million copies. Now, I was not a huge fan of this game. They cut a lot of characters, and I wasn't happy about that. So I played this one briefly. I put more time and effort into Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which brought everybody back and has some really cool additions to it. This is still a great game. I'm going to give it a, let's go 6 out of 10, simply because it doesn't have some of my favorite characters. And of course, number 9 is Altered Beast, which sold over 1.4 million copies. This is one of the first games that most people ever played on the Sega Genesis, including me. I, in fact, beat this game on this channel. You can look it up. This is a great game. You collect 3 different orbs in 5 different stages and turn into that Altered Beast. Fun gameplay, great graphics, very exciting for a kid. Nowadays, it's a little lackluster, but still, this is a solid 8 out of 10. In number 8 is Street Fighter II Special Championship Edition, selling over 1.665 million copies. Now, in order to figure out the family tree to this game, it's very convoluted. Leave it to Capcom to make clones of clones of clones that add and take away. Anyway, this game was pretty awesome. You could play as the bosses. You could play against yourself. You could also speed up the tempo. You could cheese super easy. I love this game. This game is a solid 10 out of 10. Coming in at number 7 is Mortal Kombat 2, selling over 1.78 million copies. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I was not a fan of this game. It's a great game. It looks better. We get the expanded roster. We get all the lovely ladies. We have level fatalities, all that great stuff. It just, to me, I was kind of burnt out on Mortal Kombat 1, and this didn't do it. It wasn't until Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 that I really got excited for a new Mortal Kombat game. That being said, I can step back and look at this, and it's a solid 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 6, of course, is He's on Fire, NBA Jam, selling over 1.93 million copies. This game was great. I first played it in the arcades, and then I played it on the Sega Genesis, and I loved it. I loved setting the hoops on fire. I loved the secret characters. You could play as Bill and Hillary Clinton. It was an amazing game, and it was more goofy than it was sports, but it was still a sports game. Solid 10 out of 10.
From downtown.
And number 5 is the original Mortal Kombat, selling over 3.25 million copies. This is the one that started it all. This was the gory one, the one that there was hearings about and ratings and all this other great stuff came about. This was still a great game. It sold better on Sega because Sega allowed blood and Nintendo did not. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Super NES. Great game, very rudimentary to this day. Still looks amazing in my opinion, and so many fond memories of playing this game in random shops that just had the arcade and I had no clue what they actually sold. We all just went in there as a group of kids to play Mortal Kombat. 10 out of 10. Number 4 is Sonic and Knuckles, selling over 4 million copies. This game introduced Knuckles the Echidna. This was a very colorful game. The levels looked amazing. You could wall climb with Knuckles as well. It was a fun game. On top of that, you could take the old games and put them on top of the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge and play Knuckles in those games. I had never seen that done before. That was one of the coolest things. Because of it, that is an 11 out of 10. That's right, I'm breaking my own rating system. Number 3 is Disney's Aladdin, selling over 4 million copies as well. Now this was probably the pinnacle of platforming on the Sega Genesis. I beat this game and it took forever. Of course, the hardest part is the magic carpet ride. That just is an insane level. There's multiple levels and it is absolutely insane. Still, looks amazing, plays great, the bosses are awesome, and it stays true to the movie in my humble opinion. Great game, 9 out of 10. In slot number 2, we have Sonic 2, selling over 7.55 million copies. And this game we are introduced to Tails, the two-tailed fox. Now the game looked about the same in my opinion to the original Sonic, but the inclusion of Tails in the two-player mode was amazing. Tails, you could fly Sonic around. The co-op was just very impressive, and it was pretty cool as a kid. It's pretty cool now as an adult. Either way, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 simply because the game just kind of looked the same. And of course, the #1 spot is Sonic, selling over 15 million copies. This game was so cool back in the day when it was released, and I was playing it on my buddy's Sega Genesis before I had one. Just the speed that he would go through, the little tunnels and the secret little loop-de-loops. Gosh, it was so impressive watching this game. It's not a very difficult game. In fact, it's harder just to not hit enemies and hit spikes or just kind of get stuck with the time limit. The actual platforming is very, very easy. I will say I'm going to give Green Hill Zone a 10 out of 10, and all the other zones after that probably a 7 out of 10, because that first zone is amazing. The rest of it is kind of rough. Alrighty, there you go. There is the top 10 selling games on the Sega Genesis. Now, there's not as much variety as there was on other systems. I think out of the top 10, there's what, maybe 5 or 6 franchises. So it's just kind of, Sonic and Mortal Kombat take up a lot of spots. But they're still great games. I still like them. I still played them. Still own them. Anyway, let me know what you think. Go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me if you had a chance growing up to play the Sega Genesis. If you did, what was your favorite games? Do you have a chance now to play the Sega Genesis? You guys, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Share the video. Subscribe even if you want to. I don't care if you do or not. I'm just glad you stopped in to check it out. But, it'd be cool. Anyway, take some time this week to play a game. Doesn't have to be a Sega Genesis game, but why the heck not? As always, be good people, be good to those around you, and keep on gaming.